I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hello, America. I watched the rerun of Joe Biden's State of the Union address that took place last night. And many of you have reached out in text messages and emails wanting my view and my rebuttal on the address. I didn't watch it live last night because I was doing my normal show on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the Douglas Ducote Show. But I went ahead and watched a copy of it, and that's what this is. I just picked out a few things that Joe Biden said last night that is absolutely not true, and anyone that uses the internet can find out the answers to these things, as I did, and some of them that I already know because it's common damn sense. So let's start off here. First, Biden sought to convince Americans that the State of the Union is wonderful, yet it's crippled by inflation, it's overrun by drugs, gangs, illegal aliens, plus women and children sex trafficked across our southern border by the cartels. We're in the midst of a debilitating culture war and being attacked by the left-wing aggression and their sick ideology. Yet, this geriatric senile man put a big, bright, smiley face Band-Aid on it, chucked full of outright lies and misrepresentation. Before his speech even began, Biden, in true color, could not help himself but to make yet another major gaffe that many people probably didn't even catch, especially Democrats. I caught it right away. When he greeted Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer as Senate Minority Leader. Schumer, as I'm sure you all know, has been the Majority Leader since Biden took office. On to the speech. Biden said, I actually created, with the help of many people in this room, 12 million new jobs, more jobs created in 2 years than any president has created in 4 years because of you. Biden didn't create new jobs, America, as he often claims to. The only reason the job rate is growing is that millions of people are returning to work after the tyrannical bureaucrats shut down the economy for months in the name of stopping the spread of COVID. He also repeated his famous lie that he initiated the fastest job growth in 40 years. The fact is, employment from May 2020 to January 2021 under Trump grew by 12.5 million. During approximately that same time period, the unemployment rate also declined by 8.3%. In January alone, American payroll jobs under Biden fell by more than 2.5 million. He said inflation is coming down under his watch, which is another lie Biden repeated from previous speeches he's made. Yet, 2 years after the president's greenlit the beginning of Democrats' expensive spending spree, Americans are suffering from gas prices, which are still over $3 per gallon. They're still more than what they were when he took office. And we're weathering a recession. We're paying more for goods like, for instance, eggs, 60% more than we did back in just 2021. Biden may not be responsible for the fastest job growth in the last 4 decades, but inflation under his watch rose at its fastest rate in 40 damn years. That's a fact. Biden tried to blame the nation's economy, the misfortune on the pandemic, and the unfair, brutal war in Ukraine. But the truth is, inflation in the U.S. directly coincides with the time he took office. He said democracy faced the greatest threat since the Civil War on January 6th. Biden forgot about the attacks on Pearl Harbor and 9/11 when he claimed that the riot on January 6th was the greatest threat since the Civil War. That's just an outright foolish statement, even for him. Biden made the same hyperbolic claim at his first State of the Union address before Congress, April of last year. He said, "I'm responsible for the largest deficit in U.S. history." Biden wants to take credit for cutting the national deficit. His quote was, "By more than $1.7 trillion, the largest deficit reduction in American history in my first 2 years in office." Under the previous administration, America's deficit went up 4 years in a row. Because of those record deficits, no president added more to the national debt in any 4 years than my predecessor, he said. The truth is, federal spending under Biden increased more than $10 trillion since his first month in office. That's more than any other president spent in his first 2 years in U.S. history. He said Republicans are trying to cut Social Security. He pledged to halt desperately needed cuts to bloating entitlement programs as Congress debates raising the debt ceiling. He said, "If anyone tries to cut Social Security, I will stop them. And if anyone tries to cut Medicare, I will stop them." You heard him say it. Came right out of his mouth. The Democrats' reconciliation bill passed last summer, however, raided nearly $300 billion from Medicare to boost insurance companies by removing leverage from negotiators on drug prices. He failed to mention that. He said that fires have burned across America, an area the size of Missouri. He tried to claim more wood had been burned by forest fires than the area of the entire state of Missouri. His actual quote was, "More timber has been burned than I've observed from my helicopter than the entire state of Missouri." In 2022, however, 7.5 million acres burned, according to the National Interagency Fire Center. Missouri's forest, by the way, spans 14 million acres, and the state itself is 44.6 million acres large. Biden's not very good in math. He repeated the claim that fast food workers have signed a non-compete agreement. Biden complained fast food workers were signing non-compete agreements with employers. He said a cashier at a burger place can't walk across town and take the same job at another burger place and make a few bucks more. Biden made the same claim at a business roundtable back in July of 2020. And that, America, is 100% not true. Fast food workers are not having to sign any such agreement. He blames the crime in America on COVID. Yet no mention of the Democrats' push to defund police. He blamed the coronavirus lockdown on the nation's recent crime wave. COVID left scars, he said, like the spike in violent crime in 2020, the first year of the pandemic. Yet it was the Democrats' rush to defund the police, however, that left cities and neighborhoods vulnerable to criminals who remain free to roam the streets. Democrats in Minneapolis, Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, and every major metropolitan city in America run by Democrats have cut huge police funding by hundreds of millions of dollars over the course of the social justice fever that took over this country. More than a dozen cities saw the highest homicide rates ever reported as a result. And he wants to blame COVID for it. He said he re-upped funding for cancer research. That was one of Biden's top priorities going into this speech, actually, allocating funding to cancer research and care. He said, quote, Jill and I reignited the cancer moonshot that President Obama asked me to lead. Now, he may have restarted the program to provide more support for patients and families, but it was his pet legislation, the ill-named Inflation Reduction Act, that cut cancer research spending by 9 times as much that the program was supposed to put forward. Facts matter. He said immigration reform will secure the border. He pointed to his new border plan as evidence that he's finally doing something about the millions of illegal border crossers flooding the U.S., but his plan to grant legal status to illegal border crossers from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuela, only embolden cartels and does nothing to stop the pipeline of fentanyl responsible for taking American lives, and sex trafficking and the gang members. And of course, several hecklers pointed out just that in the speech. Biden said his comprehensive immigration reform would fix the national security threat that American border woes have become. In reality, the legislation would only encourage millions of migrants to keep coming and continue to overwhelm our already hardworking Border Patrol agents. Biden said mass shootings went down after the assault weapons ban. He claimed the federal assault weapons ban, which barred the manufacture of semi-automatic rifles for civilian use back in 1994 and 2004, or 2004, caused mass shootings to drop. He said, quote, in the 10 years the ban was law, mass shootings went down, and after Republicans let it expire, mass shootings tripled. That's a lie based on a flawed study that claimed the ban reduced mass shooting deaths. Accurate data recorded during the ban by the Department of Justice, the FBI, and many think tanks show that more so-called mass shootings occurred during the firearm ban. Even after the ban expired, mass shooting did not increase. And he and Democrats continue to suggest that they did or that they would. He said life-saving pro-life laws are extreme. He wrongfully characterized pro-life legislation in several red states as extreme by limiting women's ability to kill their unborn babies. Already more than a dozen states are enforcing extreme abortion bans, he said. All polling suggests Americans support limiting abortion to the first 3 months of pregnancy. Biden also criticized Republicans for trying to pass what he said is a national abortion ban. As pro-life organization Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America noted, the GOP has not proposed a total ban on abortions, and they never have. Yet, they've just worked to bring U.S. abortion law up to speed
with civilized nations and kicked it back to the state level where it belongs, and recognized abortion beyond 15 weeks is actually a barbaric practice. Biden, in addition to promising unity by bipartisanship cooperation, falsely claimed that he is here to be president for all Americans. Now let's just look at the facts of what we've heard him say. The few times Biden gave formal addresses in 2022, he demoralized half of the country that didn't vote for him. His smears against MAGA Republicans show he has no tolerance for conservative voters or their values. A president for all wouldn't sick his Department of Justice on parents that are concerned that their children's education could end up indoctrinating them into liberal ideology. Bottom line, look, Joe Biden is really not very much different than all the other presidents before him and many to come after him. They all talk out the side of their ass. They make up shit and spend everything to paint themselves as an American life-saving king, which they are certainly not. They never take responsibility for anything. They blame everyone else for all the problems happening under their watch. And that is a major problem with 99% of all American politicians. That's my take on Biden's State of the Union address last night. Please share this video with your friends and family and leave in the comment sections your thoughts. If you think I got it wrong, I'd love to hear from you. But don't put anything in the comment section if you can't back it up with facts, because that's all I'm about. If I can't factually prove it, I'm not going to talk about it. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving in the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders and their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, and our country. May God bless the United States of America. And by chance, if you don't know what angel families are or blue and gold star families are, please, I beg you to Google that, because they need our support more than ever before, because this current administration is literally shitting on the graves of their loved ones. And that is un-American and unacceptable. I'll see you Tuesdays and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Central for the Douglas Ducote Show live. Thank you, America, and God bless.